Hello and welcome. Today's video is, as you can see from the title down below, is an Oracle deck that I obtained. I think I ordered it. I think I purchased it at the end of 2020 and it arrived at the beginning of 2021. No matter. It's one of my most recent Oracle decks. It's the one I've been using the most. And I thought at the same time I'd talk a little bit about the difference between tarot and oracle decks, which will be in the title bar. So, I know there's like probably hundreds of videos out there, the difference between tarot and oracle cards. It's very brief what I have to say. Tarot decks follow a standard traditional tarot structure. You have 22 this is my toth. You have 22 it smells like sandalwood incense. All right. I keep interrupting myself. You have 22 major arcana cards and 56 minor arcana cards. All tarot decks have that structure. Now, within that structure, people have taken creative license over the hundreds of years that tarot has existed. More so recently than, like more so in the last 100 years, let's say, than, or even 50 years, or like, more so in like just recently, where people are renaming the major arcana and they're renaming the suits. Typically, the major arcana and the suits are standard, but you know, there's a tarot deck out there for everybody. You know what I mean? It's like there's my personal opinion where I feel that what works for me best in a tarot deck is one that follows a traditional structure of the 22 major arcana and that are not renamed to fit a theme. Theme decks do not work for me at all for that reason. For the minor arcana, the best structure that works for me is the one that's wands, swords, cups, and discs or pentacles or like coins, whatever you want to call it, because the first deck I ever read was the Neapolitan playing cards, and it's a deck of 40 cards, playing cards, and the suits are bats or bastone. We used to call them bats. Love it. Bastone, swords, cups, and coins. Denari. And so that for me, I'm just like that. For me, it's that traditional symbolism has to be there for me to not just be able to read the cards, to read with that tarot deck, but to really, you know, for it needs to speak my language is what I'm trying to say. Oracle decks are anything goes. And oracle decks typically Okay, so I'm going to start with my history with oracle decks. My first oracle deck was an angel oracle, and I still own it. My second oracle deck was also an angel oracle, and I still own it. And during the insanity of 2018, the tarot binge of 2018, and then the retail therapy of 2020, I can't even tell you how many oracle decks passed through my hands because I'm fussy about tarot decks, but not so fussy about oracle decks for me because literally oracle decks is anything goes. And there's been a spate in the last little while where there is such an influx of oracle decks on the market, because literally it's any random picture, you slap a word on it, and You make 44 of those pictures with a random word on it. You put it in a box and you can mark it as an oracle deck. That was very judgy what I just said. But seriously, that's how I felt about dozens of oracle decks that passed through my hands. A good oracle deck is hard to find, but they're out there. And a good oracle deck for you is not the same as a good oracle deck for me. And it has to do with the different uses I have for both systems, if you want to call them systems. Tarot deck for me will always be a divinatory tool. It's divination. It's fortune telling. I don't care what word you want to use for it. In the parlance of today, people will call it predictive readings. The tarot deck was first and foremost designed hundreds of years ago to read into the future, for fortune telling, and it is still, in my opinion, the best deck of cards for divination. You can use playing cards, Lenormand. I hate Lenormand. And now, since playing cards basically are just incognito Lenormand, I don't read playing cards anymore either, because for me it's just too, it lends to a lot of negativity. Not to sound like a new age flake or anything like that, but for me, the world is harsh enough as it is. You don't need your cards telling you that people are out to get you, or they're like talking, they're talking shit behind your back and whatever. It's like, that's not how I like to, that's not what I like to read about. Not for myself, not for other people. For me, it's divination in terms of planning and problem solving. It's divination in terms of knowing what to expect so that you can then align yourself, or align yourself accordingly, or make different decisions to have a different outcome than what the outcome that looks like it, that's coming based on the decisions you've made up until this moment, that kind of thing, right? When do I turn to oracle decks? And that's why, to me, it's very important that it's got to be a really good oracle deck. When I'm feeling like I need to do some spiritual work. Oh my God. It's sad that the word spiritual is one I don't like using anymore, because it's become so ubiquitous and is used to describe all kinds of things that to me are not spiritual. But for me, an oracle deck is how I explore personal introspection. An oracle deck is the deck that I go to seek guidance and to receive a message from spirit to console me, to guide me, to help me understand what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, to understand what energies are influencing a place and time, or just a place, a decision, an outcome. Oracle deck is how I communicate with my spirits. Now, do I communicate with my spirits with tarot as well? But this is different. Oracle I turn to for more of a comforting message. So I don't want, when people say, oh, well, I love this oracle deck because it's balanced. Depends what you mean by balanced. For instance, what I'm trying to say is that a really good oracle deck can really help you navigate the vicissitudes of life. The one I am currently working with, I had seen it. I don't even know how I came across this oracle deck on YouTube, but I watch different language YouTube, like, you know, especially like this subject matter. Like I'll be watching English, North American, French, whether it's Quebecois or French, Belgian or French from France, North African, French videos, what have you. So I'm not quite sure how I landed on this one, but I saw it and I tucked it away at the back of my mind. And it was one of the last decks I purchased in the retail therapy. But this was not retail therapy. This one was planned. This one was, I watched a review and I researched the creator. I ended up subscribing to the creator's YouTube channel. I ended up buying the creator's books, like 2 of her books that are currently published, because I like her vibe. So this is the Oracle deck. The Oracle deck is Oracle Witch, and Witch is spelled O-U-I-T-C-H. You've seen this in a previous video. It comes in this nice velvety feeling, like rubberized almost feeling 2-part box. The inside of the box is not decorated. Don't care. Fits nicely. It's somewhere between black and a midnight blue. Oh my goodness. My friends are outside. Ravens. And yeah. It's a 72 card Oracle deck. It comes with a guidebook, and the guidebook, look at it. It's not a chunky guidebook. It's not one of those big chunky Hay House type of guidebooks that come in this size of box. And it's 72 cards, but the creator of this deck is able to convey so much thought and emotion through very few words. And therefore, it's not one of those guidebooks which I've criticized Oracle guidebooks for being just too wordy, where it's like, oh no, stop. It's like, I can't read all this. I've already lost interest. And this is not one of those. The little thumbnails of each card are in color, which is great. Of course, I guess I didn't mention the most guide d'utilisation. It's in French. The deck is in French. 72 cards. Now, I don't have it in order. I'm sorry. I didn't want to place this deck in order. It didn't seem like a fun thing to do before my video, so I didn't do it. But I'll tell you what this deck is comprised of. It has concepts. It has concept cards, like, you know, Goddess and Mother Nature. It has planet cards. So it has planets, zodiac signs, the Wheel of the Year cards, moon phases, herbs, crystals. Now, you would think, Grace, 72 cards. Yeah, you know what? She picks, it's very curated. The crystals that are in this deck are like very basic's not even the right word, but like they're very fundamental crystals. More so the meanings attached to those crystals. Very fundamental. Herbs, curated, fundamental, easily obtainable. The concepts, there's chakras, element card, one card, like there's 4 cards for for each element. Divination tools like pendulum. So I'm going, and yeah, I did tell you about the. I think I covered everything in terms of the types of cards that are in here. So I'll do a flip through to show you what they look like. This was one of those deck modifications that had gone bad. Silver Sharpie. made a shit mess of my deck. So there's some, you see, there's some overlap on the corners, which looks a little darker. There's some area, it's like really uneven. The one thing it did that I like, and this was a chisel tip silver Sharpie. And those metallic Sharpies are really hit or miss, right? You either get a really good one that's has lots of ink or whatever, and then one that's like shit, that's dry straight out of the packaging, right? So whatever. What I do like, these are the backs of the cards, right? And the chisel tip Sharpie made a nice border around the edges of the backs, just by the way I was tilting the marker. And I find that little silver border really ties the look of the back of the deck together. This creator is, again, I'll link to her YouTube channel in the description box, and all that stuff will be there. She's an astrologer, and there's one card in this deck that's the first one I'm going to show you because it cracked me up when I saw it. And I'm just thinking that I'm pretty sure she's not a Cancer. So this is the Cancer card, which with a lobster instead of a crab. This imperfection in the deck, freaking love it. Anyway, also, I don't know. Come on. Love it. So I'm going to do a flip through of these. So this is a nice chunky deck. Like I said, it's 72 cards. For me, I've been using it a lot since I got it. The messages amaze me, how timely they are. The messages amaze me how timely and accurate and apropos that they are for where I'm at. And I don't use oracle decks predictively. I've never found them. They're not effective for me as predictive tools of prediction or fortune telling or whatever you want to call it. Ever since I can remember, from my first oracle deck, which was the Angel Oracle by Ambika Wouters, oracle has always been my experience with it, and that was before YouTube, right? In the mid 90s, there was no YouTube channels to tell me what oracle cards were used for. Just from my own experience, I found that they were the best for healing and introspection and spiritual guidance. All right, so I'm going to do a flip through of this deck in no particular order. They are not in any order. I just did not feel like doing that, and I apologize. If you do a search for this deck on the internet, there is a very charming French channel that from France that does a flip through, and the cards are still in order. Purification, Virgo, Manipura. These are the chakra cards. Third quarter, Muladhara, New Moon, Yule, Imok, which in last week's video I had pulled a card from this oracle for the energy of the coming week, and this was the card I had drawn. So Uranus, Aquarius, full moon, Capricorn, Ajna, Lammas, Gemini. Maybe I'm not going to, the ones that like if the word is the same in English, I don't think I'm gonna. This one's self-explanatory right here. Aries. Fire. You can see that from lunar eclipse. I think this is nettle. Healing herbs. I'll try to tilt these better. So these cards are matte. It's a very nice card stock. Blue calcite was my stalker card when I first got this deck, and the message was pretty on point. First quarter. Sun. Pendulum. Water. Earth as in planet. Planet Earth. Rose quartz. Spiritual guides or spirit guides. Saturn. Sagittarius. Dreams. Sorry, I guess I was a little too far from the camera for some of these cards, probably for most of them. Black tourmaline. Pluto. Taurus. Mother Nature. Goddess. Past lives. I love the hands in this card. Moon. Pisces. Libra. So that was my flip through of Oracle Witch. So the creator of this deck is Josiane Sarrazin-Côté, and I will put a link to her YouTube channel and to her website. And yeah, so that's it for this video. Just wanted to share a little bit the difference between tarot and oracle decks in terms of the way I use them, and I wanted to share with you the one that I'm using the most lately, that I've been using a lot since I got it. Again, I am more likely to take a chance on an Oracle deck than I am on a Tarot deck. But right now, after curating my selection of decks, I don't think I'll be bringing anything new in for a little while. But hopefully that'll give me the opportunity to talk about other things on my channel. Well, obviously, it's always going to be tarot and divination related. It's just that I don't think no, that's not right. I'm probably going to be doing flip throughs of decks that I'm really enjoying. But it's not going to be an unboxing situation on my channel. So I'm hoping that there's other people that continue the unboxing videos and the and that kind of like not first impressions, but the unboxing videos, right? And the complete flip throughs. Going forward, I'm going to talk more about my usage of the decks that I've kept and my thoughts on, this subject matter. All right. That's it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And wherever you are in the world, I'm wishing you a beautiful day. Bye-bye.